dialogue that connects youth with experienced mentors and that facilitates intergenerational dialogue to be able to promote knowledge transfer and foster youth's engagement. I hope Gen Z will also take that kindly. Yes, you also need a bit of mentoring. Nobody in the world has monopoly of knowledge. And you know, you come armed with a lot of energy. And some of us able to sit and say, wait a minute, I think you can moderate this approach or that approach. And this is why they are saying, Kenyans are also saying, because I heard that from Alex Matere, that they don't want dialogue. I'm going to mention later on that I was chair of a dialogue committee called the National Dialogue Committee. I co-chaired with a member for Kikuyu, not very far from here, who finds it extremely difficult to go home. Imagine my co-chair can't hold a meeting in his own constituency because people went to visit him. They visited him in such large numbers that he didn't have enough tea to give them. Time for dialogue must also be in consonance with the reality, the political reality of the time. I posit that there's nothing wrong with having dialogue, but Kenyans are saying we have had so many of these. Why don't we, first of all, we had building bridges and with the BBI, Building Bridges Initiative in this country, a proposed constitutional amendment. Maybe Kenyans themselves, the Gen Z, can come up with an approach that will bring about a constitutional amendment to anchor some of these wonderful thoughts that Kenyans are not willing at the moment to deal with. As a co-chair of the National Dialogue Committee, that are pending in Parliament, if they are properly implemented, then this country will say, yeah, it makes sense to have dialogue. But what is the point of having dialogue upon dialogue upon dialogue and nothing comes out of it? So that conversation, I think, is important, and I want to invite all of us to think of the best approach and the timing. First of all, who is going to lead this dialogue? And when? And are we going to take into account what has already happened before? Because, again, you cannot, as citizens, even as families, a family that sits together and negotiates and agrees on a formula to proceed even as a family makes headway. But we cannot just bluntly say we don't want any dialogue. The people of South Sudan, and I saw the name Garang. That name is very, very important, very special to me, because I worked with our late brother, Dr. John Garang, who actually fathered the state of Southern Sudan, the world's newest state. I can see that by consensus, through some process of dialogue, they have even agreed to extend the interim period for another 1 year. And then they can have an election. And that was, I'm told,